Good morning and welcome to the Origin Point Real Estate Roundtable. I'm here today with Lindsey Paulus, my friend from
Hello.
Properties, and we're here today to talk about the market and just things that are going on in our industry and have a conversation today. So welcome.
Thanks for having me, Mike. I'm excited to be here.
Indeed. I'm curious, what's one thing that your buyers often misunderstand about the buying process?
Yeah. So one thing a big challenge is having them understand how quickly the market goes and how fast we need to work to get into properties. And then if they're interested to actually make offers, it's a fast pace and it kind of hits them hard. So I try to prepare them for that. And also one big thing is that it's a pretty seller centric, if that's a word, market.
It is now.
And I think that, going into the process, that's not necessarily, they hear about it in the news, they read about it, but the reality of it feels differently than just knowing about it.
Yeah.
So getting them prepared for that is important.
I tell people that the moment you are under contract, time moves really quickly, or it feels like it's moving quickly, because it is.
Yeah.
And there's a whole timeline of things they need to get done, and I want to prepare them for it so they're not feeling like, oh my goodness, what just happened? I just got slammed.
Yeah, exactly.
You're right. You're going to get slammed. There's a lot of things we need to accomplish
Yeah.
in order to achieve your goal, which is to close on your home.
Yeah. It's fast paced and they're not always prepared. No. But I think what's great is when we can work together, like if we're under contract and I'm letting them know that they need to get their documents in time so that this process moves quickly, and you're letting them know that works well.
I feel like we both try to speak with one voice.
Mm-hmm.
We try to explain to the consumer that this is the process. And when they hear it from you first, and then they hear it from me, and then they hopefully hear it from their attorney or whomever,
exactly,
that they start to internalize it and understand that, look, time is of the essence. There are a lot of things that we need to get done, and we're the professionals. We're going to guide you through it.
Yeah, right? Absolutely.
I feel like when a client comes to me after you have referred them, they're really prepared already, and it makes my job easier for sure.
Well, that's good. That's what I want to do.
I think you do a consultation with them ahead of time, don't you?
Definitely. It's a super important part of the process, and it really helps make them successful during the buying process. So yeah, anytime a buyer contacts me, I get to know them, of course, but I'm also trying to educate them on the market, on the buying process. And then one thing that I've been doing recently too is really giving a pretty big consultation on what it would mean if they're in a competitive situation. And one of the big pieces of that is recommending they go with a lender that's local and well-known and respected by by local agents, because At Properties has the lion's share of the market where we're working. And obviously every At Properties agent knows you, but every other agent knows you in town too. So, and they know you're going to get the deal closed. So that's one of the things one of the pieces that I tell my buyers will make them successful.
I love that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Cool. So, how are you helping these clients stay competitive in the current market with it being a seller's market?
Yeah. Well, again, it's that piece of letting them know that, unfortunately for buyers these days, they really do need to bend to realize that their offers do have to favor what the sellers are looking for. And that's not just price, that's closing date, that's all the terms in the contract. So we go through that, and I want them to feel that going into it, so that when they're ready to make an offer, I'm not sitting there trying to convince them to, put their whole, everything they've got forward. They've already heard it from me, and they've probably already seen how quickly the market moves, because anybody that's looking for a home, they've probably started looking online a year ago, and they see how quickly they go. But So I'm trying to really prepare them in advance for all the terms that they can use and utilize to be competitive.
Yep. Buying a property can be really stressful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. In this whole business, this is about like creating relationships with people. That's the most fun part for me.
Yep.
And you can't feel good and create a great relationship with somebody that's, anxious, and feels like they're trying to track you down, or, all of the. It's just when things go smoothly and they're happy, it's not only it's a nice experience, but it also makes it a lot more fun.
Yep.
And
yep.
I like to have a little bit of fun when we're working together.
I'm with you, which is why I like working with you.
Yeah.
Little known fact is that Lindsey does a little stand-up routine, or has. There's a couple of them. You can find them on YouTube. She's really organically and authentically funny. Check it out sometime. YouTube. Lindsey Paulus.
Uh-oh.
Uh-huh.
Uh-oh.
You just, you got a whole audience that's going to expect you to be super funny. And I think you are.
I don't know about that.
So let's see. Can you share an example of maybe how collaboration has helped you get or close on a deal or get an accepted offer?
Yeah. I mean, I think that when we collaborate with lenders like yourself that are working right along with us in the process and communicating with our buyers, that when I'm at a crossroads with the buyer, when we're talking about, let's say, just terms on a contract they want to offer, and they're like, well, I'm not really sure I'm comfortable offering that term, whether it's a fast closing or something like an appraisal gap addendum, which confuses and stresses buyers out all the time, but yet is a really impactful term when we're talking about appealing to a seller.
It's huge.
To have a lender that I can trust will explain, underscore kind of the advice that I've given and validate the concept.
Yep.
That's huge. So it's nice to be able to refer buyers to you. And then usually it turns out very successful.
One of my favorite things is that we do these things called power bid approvals, which is where we underwrite a loan. You know this. We've done these many times together, but we underwrite loans ahead of time before they're even under contract, and it gives me a pre-approval letter that says it's not just pre-approved, it's underwritten.
Yeah.
And so then the second thing I like to do is I like to call that listing agent when you're presenting the offer. You know this, because I'm aggressive. I want to help you win the deal. And one of the ways we're going to win the deal is for the seller and their realtor to know that the package deal, the buyer, the realtor, and the lender know how to coordinate, and we've got everything dialed in, and we are going to close smoothly and on time for their seller.
Yep.
Without fail. And so I like to call that listing agent and tell them, like, hey, look, we have a solid buyer. Look at the fine print on that letter. It's not just pre-approved. It's actually underwritten. We can close in 10 days if you would like, or we can close in whatever's comfortable for your seller.
Yeah.
And at that time, too, the buyer's so well prepared that they're excited and they're ready to go, and they're motivated, because they're already pre-approved and they're ready to close in 10 days or 2 weeks or whatever.
For sure.
So
that's a huge benefit, that power bid. And it's a great tool that I've found that not every lender you talk to has. It's a big one. So I appreciate that Origin Point has that.
I once beat out a cash offer. My client they had to be higher because we were doing financing, right? But my client was $5,000 higher than the cash offer, which is actually not a lot higher.
Right.
Right. In the big perspective,
Right.
This is a little over a $500,000 deal. We beat the cash offer, even though we were only $5,000 more than them, because we had
the power
bid
bid
approval.
I'm not surprised.
It was amazing. I was like, what? We beat a cash offer?
I'm not
cool.
surprised. Well, that just dealing with sellers too, and multiple offers, and they like a high number. Obviously, I always tell my buyers that's kind of the number one, but those other the fact that the power bid is almost just as good as the cash.
Yeah.
At that point.
Yep.
And that's how I would advise my sellers. So it's good to be working both sides to see the different perspectives.
Yeah.
to be able to educate the other side
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
how to be successful.
Speaking of sellers, are there special, unique things you have to do to prepare them when you are starting a brand new listing for them? Or is there something you do that helps prepare them in maybe a different way than your competitors? You know,
Yeah.
and without telling the secret sauce, you don't have to tell me everything. But
No, definitely. So when I'm speaking with a seller, I go through my typical process, which is, meeting with them at their home. Well, having an initial conversation, first of all, on the phone for a bit, kind of figuring out what their goals are, then walking through their home. But then that consultation where I have them in the office and we're looking on the big screen to go through their market analysis, to go through their, the process that it's going to take for them to get on the market. One of the things that I also touch on is, hey, if we play our cards right, if you prepare your property for showings and photos, and we get it prepared beautifully, we're smart about setting your price, which, we can talk a little bit. I can talk about that for a long time and different strategies. But if we're smart about those two things, and we know that we're in a strong seller's market, then there's a chance you are going to get multiple offers. Let's cross our fingers. It may not happen. There are no guarantees. But
have you said that before?
Many, many times I've said that before. But if you do, I want to show you an example of what it would look like to compare those offers.
Yep.
And what each term means for you as a seller.
Yep.
So money is the easy one. But then when we go down for closing, earnest money, even closing date, going back to that appraisal gap addendum, there are different things that they can consider beyond just the price. And one of those big things is also, who's the lender? How much can I trust, and how much can they trust that this deal is going to get closed and in a smooth and on-time fashion? And one of the things about that is good communication. That's one of the major things. And that starts with writing the offer, copying you on it, texting you and letting you know we wrote the offer, and then having you reach out, which I completely appreciate, both as representing a buyer and representing a seller. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. Yeah, I try to speak with one voice, and I say the same thing, which is, hey, look, it's not just about the price you're offering to the seller,
Yeah,
and the dollar amount, but the seller also wants to know which one of these offers that has come in is going to close smoothly and on time with the fewest hassles. And they don't want hassles, they want smooth.
yeah,
And we want to demonstrate that we are the package deal that will be the smoothest buyer for their home, that will close smoothly and on time for them. I try to demonstrate that, and that's also why I call the listing agent
yeah.
when you present an offer, because I want them to know that we are that team.
Yeah. Well,
We're the
like I
ones.
said, I appreciate that as a buyer's agent, and I know that the buyers appreciate that involvement in the buying process, in the offer process.
Yep. Are there tools that the company provides that you feel are really helpful that maybe other companies don't have, or are they all the same?
I've been with At Properties for about 6 years now, and I think their tech is so fantastic and easy to use. So when I'm doing a market analysis for a seller client, and I'm looking to put together a presentation. I mean, I remember staying up all night when I first started putting listing presentations together. And I'm not even kidding. My husband would bring me dinner in the office and I would stay up. And now it takes me much less time, let's just say, to put a presentation together. And a big part of that is the tools that they're offering me. What I like about them is not only are they easy to use, so they're faster, but they also allow me to offer the seller more information that I personally think is important and incorporate that into the presentation. So I can upload what I want to upload. Like I always go through the market statistics That's the first thing I go through with a seller in that third presentation and meeting with them, the market statistics. And I can upload all of the slides that I want to upload and right into the presentation. I also really appreciate that At Properties is affiliated with Proper Title, because Proper Title has a fabulous net sheet that works both for sellers and buyers.
What's a net sheet?
So the net sheet lays out all the different costs of selling. And, before I got into real estate and I had, a real estate transaction as a seller, and I remember my husband and I both going, what? We don't get all of this money that we just negotiated?
Right.
Where is it going? So I think, like we talk about setting expectations for buyers, it's also really important to set expectations for sellers, and they need to know, we don't want them to get to the end on the closing day and go like, what the heck? I wasn't expecting this. So preparation is an education, really important.
Yeah.
So the platform that At Properties and the tools that they use, I think are great for that.
I'm gonna toot your horn for you because I know you're too shy to do it yourself. But one of the things that I've always enjoyed throughout the years of watching your business grow is the way you're authentic and in your advertising. Oh. I just love the creativity in your advertising.
Thank you.
You've done so many cool like things that I've read in our local publications that make people want to read what they're looking at.
Thank you.
It's you. It's, and then you do your clever events like That's My Jam, where Lindsey.
It's my jam.
Oh, it's my
It's
jam.
my jam.
It's not That's My Jam. It's my jam. You're right. That's my jam.
That you could say that's
Wait
my jam.
a minute.
I guess
Is this
I could
a pronoun issue again. I gotta get my pronouns down. Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Thank
is
you.
there anything about you besides the At Properties and the unique tools that they have? What is it that Lindsey Paulus brings to the table that's different about you personally as opposed to, any other competitor out in the marketplace?
Well,
that's my favorite, is the authenticity.
Thank you. I think that when somebody asked me recently what my brand was, and I think that kind of hit me like, boy, I should be able to really communicate this. And it was a good exercise, because I think when I'm putting together advertising and marketing, what I've decided the brand is that I really want consumers, anybody really, to feel that I'm approachable and that I'm adding value to their process. And not only if they're a buyer or seller, but even because everyone at some point is going to become a buyer or seller, probably, right?
Yep.
Unless they're renting their whole life, and that's fine too. I'm happy to offer information to them, but I want them to feel like I'm an approachable source of information and that I'm adding value to their lives, even with just an ad in the Hillgrove magazine or a postcard that I don't want it to feel like junk mail. I want them to be like, oh, I just got some correspondence from Lindsey Paulus. I want to figure out, I want to see what she has to say and what I'm going to learn today. And I also like to do it in a very light way. I want people to think it's fun, sometimes funny. We'll see. I mean, it depends, but
I think that's what makes it approachable, is that it is light and it is fun, and it's not too serious. I feel like if we take things too seriously, I don't know. It's kind of I don't want to be a Debbie Downer. I want to be
sure.
That's too short. I want it to be fun in
For sure.
everything that I do, and so I love the approach that you take and the style in which you approach things, and the comedy with and the lightheartedness. That you bring. So
thank you. Thanks. I just did a new advertisement actually that's currently showing before movies at the LaGrange Theater in town.
Oh, I love that.
You'll have to go check it out.
Heck
It's a spoof on the Nicole Kidman AMC.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that little carrot you're dangling out there. We're gonna have to look for that.
Yeah, you'll have to go about 20 minutes early to the movie.
Yeah. I'm not usually early for things.
Well, maybe one time, me neither. But
I'm not known for being early.
It took me about 3 movies to see it myself.
That's
But
awesome.
yeah, I just want to say too, that's one thing that I love about you too. I love how easy you are to talk with and how fun you are and always up for a good time. And that meshing that with how much you know about the lending process and how you're going to help my clients is a big reason why it's nice to work with you.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
On your way to a day of showings, what's your go-to coffee or drink?
I don't drink coffee, but lately when I learned to use the Starbucks app, I decided that this was super fun, and I now drink matcha lattes.
Matcha lattes.
You can even put protein in them now. And so I don't feel like it could be breakfast if I missed breakfast because I'm rushing, which I always am.
They're not called macho lattes?
Matcha.
Macho lattes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, with the protein, you can get macho.
Oh, right. Have the protein added. I love it. Are you an early bird or a night owl?
I'm probably more of a night owl than an early bird, but I'm sort of shifting as I'm getting older, I'm noticing. So I like to now get up, get some stuff done, and I'm so much sharper in the morning. So, but I do like to watch a fun show before I go to bed. In our family, we call it a fun show.
What's a fun show?
A fun show is any show that's fun before you go to bed.
Does it have to be like lighthearted or can it be a drama?
No. We are trying to finish Peaky Blinders before the
drama,
new movie comes out next week. So it can be any kind of show that's great.
Is there a movie coming out for it next
There
week?
is.
Oh, didn't know that. Do you have a favorite like Chicago or suburb neighborhood where you like to spend a Saturday?
Gosh. I mean, this is so unoriginal, but I really do enjoy our town of LaGrange. So but I don't get to just spend a Saturday very often. So now that we've got Bellbird Bakery or Bake Shop,
Yep.
which is like delicious French pastries and whatever, we've got so many great coffee shops. We also have so many great stores where I buy most of my clothing. And I like shopping. So I would say I really like LaGrange. And I like that I can walk there.
Yeah. Me too. If I'm going to spend a Saturday and it's a leisurely thing, I don't want to commute anywhere.
No.
I want to enjoy my town because there's places I like to go to in town.
For sure.
And I get to see my friends. I might see you walking down the street.
Exactly. You got to bump into folks and support local. Woo-woo.
So if you weren't in real estate, what do you think you'd be doing?
Well, my other interest is actually sewing and clothing design. I know that's
I think I remember you saying that a long time ago.
Yeah,
you used to do that, right?
I did. That was my first career outside of college. Was I was a business major at U of I, but then I went to fashion design school. You would never know it these days. I don't really dress like I'm this.
You're very
fashionable person.
I think you're fashionable,
but I enjoy
especially
making clothes.
Is there one thing that people would be surprised to learn about you?
Oh, one thing they'd be surprised to learn. I used to play the tuba.
Can you play any other instruments?
I can play Country Gardens on the piano. You don't even know that song, but that's the one song I can play on the piano.
Like that's fabulous.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay. Well, hey, thank you for joining us today for our roundtable.
Thanks for having me.
This was fun. I hope you enjoyed it.
I did.
And I'm sure I'll see you back at the ranch at our office.
Sounds like a plan.
All right.
Thanks,
see you,
Mike.
Lindsey. Lindsey Paulus at Properties.